Welcome to Grace Among Us, the podcast where we unearth the many faces and places of grace and share stories of the power of grace in our human lives. Our desire is that this will inspire you to see grace in your own life and share it with others.
Hello and welcome to Grace Among Us, the podcast where we unearth the many faces and places of grace and share stories of the power of grace in our human lives. Our desire is that this will inspire you to see grace in your own life and share it with others.
My name is Ebony Gilbert, and I am partnering with Carri Adcock to present Grace Among Us. And by day, I work for corporate America in the healthcare field as a strategist and coach. And through life experiences, I've become well acquainted with grace and look forward to sharing with you all some of my personal experience and how it has helped me get from day to day without beating myself up.
Thank you, Ebony. My name is Carri Adcock. I'm a mentor with a passion for showing high achievers how to make space and enjoy the ride so that they can impact their heart's desires with their life back. And the bottom line is my purpose is to bear witness to God's grace. And we're going to talk all about grace today. So, Ebony, I am going to put you on the spot to start with the question.
Let's do it.
Okay, good. Is it easier to see grace in others or your own life?
Great question. And I think it's easier to see grace in others as it impacts my own life. So when people, others, are showing kindness, unmerited favor towards me, so it's in my life, but it's seeing it in others, that's like a double whammy. That's hitting on all cylinders. I see it, red flags are going off, thunder is roaring in the background.
Can you hear that?
And I can hear thunder in your background. Are you serious?
That's grace. That
it.
is grace.
I literally heard it right as I said that.
It clapped as you said it.
So there it is, folks. There it is. That is the double win. That's the win-win. I can see it crystal clear there.
So can I ask you a question about that?
Sure.
Okay, so what I heard you say is that you see grace in others when it applies to your own life. Mm-hmm. And can you give me an example of that double whammy that you just said?
Yes, sure. I'll give you an example. I recently went through a pretty challenging health situation. And I was not the best patient. Go figure. And there were times when I wasn't compliant and I wasn't at my best. And the staff that showed me grace, when they could have just said, get up, or I'm not going to bother to force you to do something, even though it's for your own good, if you want to be stubborn. Their level of encouragement, their level of patience, during my long suffering, they were long suffering with my temperament. I could see them showing grace to me in my situation, but it required them to walk in the path of grace. So I could see the God in them, it being extended to me in my time of need. So that would be an example, the quickest one that comes to mind, and when I can see it in others as it pertains to my situation. I can see it, Carri, in others if I'm looking for it. It's easy to see when you're looking for it. But those are the times when the thunder in the background starts to roar.
Absolutely. I hadn't really thought of it that way, is the reflection of grace as it's coming towards me, because, hey, I'm pretty self-centered. I mean, left to my own devices.
Aren't we all?
This whole life is all about me, right? So it makes perfect sense that when that grace pertains to me in some way, shape, or form, then I can see it. I can see it in others. And it gave me this image of, there you were, not being compliant, probably not feeling really good, not wanting to do what they told you. And like, grace is like, it's like putting on a pair of glasses, and like, they're not seeing you as this complaining, stubborn, like, I don't want to do what you're telling me person. They put on the glasses of grace, and they see, hey, she's probably not having a real good day. So I don't need to be like, get up, right? I can say it in a lot of different ways. So
they're looking beyond my flaws and my faults in that moment, and I am immediately humbled. And it's so much more effective than them saying, just get up. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Now, you said you didn't think about it in that light. Tell me how you thought about it. Is it easier for you to see it in others or in your own life?
Well, yeah. So I interpreted that question totally differently, which I love, because that's why we're here, right? For many reasons. But I can see, like, it's so easy to see when others are living with grace. Like when others are having a really hard time, possibly, yet they're doing it with their head up. They're doing it with grace, with belief that it's going to get better, with belief that they're being taken care of, with, belief that's outside of them, that's bigger than them. It's almost like they're able to look at their own life with grace, right? To give themselves a break, and in turn probably give everybody else around a break. So it's so, like, when I see people going through something and doing it with grace, like, it's so easy to see. I mean, it's like a beacon. Mm-hmm. It's contagious. And I don't always see it in my own life. Really? Sometimes people have to, these days I see it all the time. But I see it because we're talking about it, because it's always the conversation, because it's a passion, because it's like, it's so much fun. Mm-hmm. It's so much fun to see grace everywhere. However, it was not always the case. For a long time in my life, I was the victim, or things were happening, being done to me, or I could feel sorry for myself. And, these days I still have things that I could go down that parade, but it's not a lot of fun. Right. It's not prosperous. And for me, when I do that, I essentially am saying, God, hey, dude, I don't need your help. And that's not true.
You said earlier that your purpose, and I don't want to misquote you, is to bear witness to God's grace. Is that what you said?
That's what I said. Yeah.
And what if God is saying, hey, let's start with you?
I love that.
Let's witness it in the mirror,
That's the best thing I've heard all day, Ebony.
I have a note on my desk that says what my purpose is. A dear friend of mine encouraged me to do that. And it says, my purpose is to bring light. So when I have dark moments, even if I'm home alone, because I wrote that with the intent of bringing light to others. When I look at it, it immediately lightens the mood. It lightens the moment, because I have to shine my own light sometimes. And I have to bring light to my own situation. So I'm not picking on you. That was my own reflective moment I had with myself today.
Well, I'll tell you what, you are not picking on me. That's yes. Begin within.
Yeah.
Fellow light bearer.
Grace witnesser.
Oh my goodness.
So I guess, when we see it, whether it's in others or ourselves, what's an acceptable reaction to that? How do you greet it when it shows up? Is it a oh boy, I'm convicted and there's the thunder again? I hear it. I'm just wondering, how do you react in those moments?
Well, I have to be honest to start with. The word acceptable, like, kind of tightens me up.
It's like normal, right?
Yeah, that's a setting on the washing machine. That's about it.
Doesn't apply to people.
No, not this people. So, a greeting or reaction when grace shows up these days, to be honest, it's like, yes, more of that, please, more of that. Or if I see it in another and I don't know if they see it or not, but I'm going to call it out.
Mm-hmm.
Because it totally is contagious.
I agree. For me, it almost feels like an internal itch sometimes. Like I've got to say something. I've got to do something. I've got to move. It's like hearing your favorite song in the grocery store and you get excited.
Yes.
You're like, I know this. I know what this is. And it's just turned into this, I gotta move, I gotta talk, I gotta say it. So I totally relate to what you're saying, and I've got to say something. I've got to call it out. Because now there's just fire stirred. And it's exciting. It's pretty exciting.
Absolutely. And what happens when you call it out?
It never falls flat.
Amen.
Knock on wood, keep living it. But till this day, it has never fallen flat. Even in the moments when I second guessed myself and thought I shouldn't say anything. Have not received a negative reaction. Actually, it's been the exact opposite. You get a mixture of reactions anywhere from, well, thank you, to an emotional response of tears if I didn't know you noticed, or I thought I was doing this on my own. But it ranges from one end to the other, but it's not negative at all. Yeah. And then it gives you a little bit more fuel to feel confident the next time.
Absolutely. That's awesome. As you were saying that, two things came up. One is what happened when the thunder happened. We're like, woo! You can't help yourself.
You can't.
And the other piece was like this image of like, it doesn't matter if we're, right now we're on screens talking to each other. Right? It doesn't matter if we're on screens. It doesn't matter if we're standing next to each other. There's like this invisible connection between my heart and your heart. And like when I acknowledge it, it's like plucking that string.
Yeah. And it's musical. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a melody. It's so real. And it's an entire experience for me, Carri.
Absolutely. And I'm going to bet, I'm not a betting woman, but I'm going to bet there are people hearing this right now that can feel that in their own hearts right in this moment.
I feel it.
I do too.
That's good. That's good. Something you said earlier, you said you used to, the way I heard it, victim. Yeah. Falling into that victim zone. Why did this happen to me? Why is this happening to me? Woe is me. Me. And this is certainly not to imply that that's not a justifiable way to feel. But there are crappy things that happen in life, and the only quote unquote acceptable response is, why?
Why me? Why now?
How do you make that transition from victim help me to thank you and gratitude? And let me give a little context for this question. Your comment made me think of it, but I was talking with a friend earlier this week, and I've grown up saying grace before meals.
Yeah.
And the grace that I learned as a child was asking for stuff. Bless my food, keep me. It was more of a request. Not a bad thing, but it was a request. Now, at this point, and this has a whole new meaning for me because I don't have a stomach. So eating takes on a whole new face and experience. Now the grace is thank you for this moment, for the opportunity to have a meal. There is so much gratitude in the moment that it's replaced the help me and blessed me, because I identify that moment as already being blessed just by virtue of being able to sit there in front of some food. So I'm combining two things here. I'm combining your comment about victim, because I've been there. I was there yesterday. I go there intermittently often.
Oh, I walk around that block here and there.
It's a good neighbor of mine. So I'm combining that with where I've noticed in my life, there's been this transition from help me, bless me, fix me, get me, which is still pretty pertinent requests at certain times. But it's shifted to, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
So, yes. So the answer I had, you've already blown it out into like, how do I move from victim to grace, right? To seeing grace in the situation.
Victim to victorious.
I love that. I love that. It's the most powerful question I have in my toolbox, and it has been for a while. How can I be grateful for this? I mean, that's it. I had, one of the most painful situations in my life. I just couldn't see my way out of it. I couldn't see how I was going to keep going. I could not see it. It was like my whole world was coming down, and I called my spiritual mentor at the time, and I said, I don't know what to do. And she said, can you be grateful for this? And I said, F no.
Right.
And she said, well, you better find a way. And it took me, by God's grace, I knew that she had told me things prior that worked. So I could not get my head around what she was asking me to do, but I knew enough that she had been right before. It took me 2 days to find one thing, the tiniest thing to be grateful for. And I held on to that like it was my lifeline. And maybe we'll talk about it on an episode, because it's a lot longer story. But the long and the short is, it was 3 years later that I saw the power in what happened by shifting my attention to what I was grateful for in the situation. So
you had that mustard seed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, what God did with it, I mean, it's still, I got goosebumps. So it's exactly what you're saying, going from help me to thank you. You know, I had, growing up, I had a lot of different illnesses, which is a whole other story. And I learned to, in the process, I started just saying, Lord, thank you for my strong, healthy, vibrant body, whether I had one or not. And here I am. I haven't been sick in a long, long time.
There's so much power in what you just said. And it's difficult. It's not easy. You said it took you 2 days to come up with something. I think that's pretty phenomenal. I think it would take me much longer. It has taken much longer.
Ebony, my ass was on fire. Don't think I'm all that great. Sorry.
It's 2 days? Wow. Wow. And you held on to it for 3 years. It didn't materialize the next weekend.
No. And that's part of grace too. It's got no timeline. Grace does not work on human time. Mm-hmm. It's so much bigger.
Mm-hmm. I want to start practicing I'm going to make a list of all the things that are not the way I want them to be in one column. And in the next column, I'm going to write the counter statement.
Yes.
In the column on the left, it will say, my health is not great. In the column on the right, it will say, I am whole and prosperous and free of pain daily.
I love it.
And I'm going to see how this works. We're going to do a little experiment because I believe you. And I've played with it anecdotally, but I'm going to put it in writing. We're going to see what's going to happen. I'm going to report back in.
I love it. I'm going to hold you to it.
And I'm going to challenge anyone who's listening to make your own list. Let's turn some of that help me, victim me, this isn't good, which is real. I don't want to invalidate or minimize the reality that life is hard. That's not the intent here.
Absolutely.
I want to magnify the power of your words and your heart when you commit to something being better. So I'm going to do this.
I love it. I love it. That's the challenge. And may I speak about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Please.
Make the list. And for those who are listening, if you're overwhelmed by the list, pick one. Start with one. Just start with one. And yeah, I want to hear how it goes for other people too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to check back in a couple weeks, Ebony, and talk about that.
Absolutely.
I'm going to pick one too because I am not immune. I got some others. I love it.
Write them down.
Yes. Wow. Ebony, the thunder has stopped. And we have spoken to each other for about 30 minutes. Oh, there's the thunder.
Hey, it brought us in and it's going to close us out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So is there anything you want to say to kind of close this out?
I do. And just very, very briefly, it is such a privilege to be able to articulate how we've been impacted by grace with each other. That's the icing on the cake, is to be able to do it to a broader audience. I feel so incredibly humbled and grateful for this opportunity. And my hope, my prayer is that one person, on a good day, maybe more than one, but at least one person walks away feeling a little bit more encouraged, feeling a little less lonely, and understanding that there is hope. And if it has to show up as a mustard seed, that's okay.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. And this is, Ebony, thank you so much for being willing to have these conversations. This is like ultimate joy. And I agree with you. It just one. And if there's more, great. And to anyone who's listening, we love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Any question, all questions are on the table. All comments are welcomed. And this has been fun.
It has. I knew it would be, but it's so much better in real life, you know?
Absolutely.
So much better.
Absolutely.
Let's do it again.
Okay. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please let us know. We love to hear from you, and share it with a friend. Also, please be sure to subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted. We hope you're leaving with another pointer to grace, a new perspective that will light it up in your own life. Until next time, be well, be bold, be kind to yourself, and be on the lookout.